everybody. My name is Donita Rose, and I am so honored to be a guest here on the Wendy Lindo Show. For those of you who will watch the show, you will be amazed by her talent in hosting. So she interviewed me, and it was seamless. I didn't have any problems sharing my story with her, and I felt so open with her because she's such a good, kind-hearted person. Congratulations to you, Wendy, and I wish you all the best on your show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wendy Lindo Show, where you will meet people that are inspirational, courageous, and people that change lives. So, for today's episode, I'm very honored and privileged that she's here in my show. This is actually an actress that I look up to when I was a teenager. She started at That's Entertainment and moved up to be the Best Actress and nominated with various different awards. And now she's here in LA and she's now a celebrity chef. So without further ado, let me introduce Donita Rose.
Wow. Thank you so much, Wendy, for that wonderful introduction, which I wrote. Ako bang nagsulat niyan?
Oh.
No, but thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, like what I said, it's a privilege and an honor you to be here in the show. It's a dream come true. Actually, this year, there's a lot of blessings that came in my life. Of course, I would like to thank God. Everything that I prayed for, now everything is coming.
Oh, that's for a reason.
Yes, everything is for a reason. So, Donita, I know there's a lot of fans that been wanting to see you on the show. And I know a lot of fans all over the world missed you.
Oh, well, thank you for that. Yeah, I've kind of been incognito for a little while. When I was in the Philippines and the pandemic hit, things started to get very difficult for me financially. And so I made a decision to move to the U.S., to be here with family. What people don't know is that I've been away from family ever since Mount Pinatubo erupted in 1991. So we were in the military, based in Clark, and I was doing my third film back then called Anak ng Dagat, and we were in Mindoro. And Mount Pinatubo erupted, and when I got back to Manila, my family was gone. They were abroad na. So they gave me 1 year to try things out in the Philippines, and then 1 year turned into 31 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
31 years. But let's go back 10, 15, or maybe
I know where this is
15 years
going.
ago. I
Sa
know,
love life
right?
ko, ganon?
Hindi. Mamaya yan.
Sige, sige.
But how did you started? Who discovered you to be one of the, that's entertainment. That's how you started. Who discovered you?
Okay, so Kuya Germs is the answer to that. But what's funny was that 3 days before I got discovered and just spotted in the audience, I did something bad. I got caught smoking marijuana for the first time. And I had this fight with my family. And so I prayed to God because they tinatakot nila ako. They brought me to the emergency room and they said they were going to put me in the basement. And at that time I was 15 and I asked God, what is your plan and your purpose for my life? So I started asking the deep questions. Could have been the marijuana, but I'm not sure. So I asked the questions, and then 3 days later, that's when we just by random accident, I suppose, it just, I got seen. We entered a TV studio. At first, it was lunch date with Randy Santiago. And then the cameraman and my mom talked, and he invited my mom to come back for that. That was a Saturday. And so when we came back in the evening, Kuya Germ spotted me in the audience and then asked me if I wanted to join the show. That was in December of 1989. And so I was formally introduced in March of 1990.
Wow. So that was your biggest break when Kuya Germ spotted you watching Lunch Date.
Yeah, I was a very, very shy girl. I'm, of course, half Filipino, half American. So when showbiz happened, I was the shyest girl in school. I didn't know what my crowd was. I mean, actually, my closest friends were my cousins. I lived next door to my cousins. We were 13 cousins all together who used to play together every day. And I didn't have a social life outside of my family. So all of a sudden, the spotlight's on me, and I'm like so shy. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just said a prayer 3 days ago about what is your plan and purpose for my life. Is this it? And I took it week after week, and I was starting to enjoy it. I started coming out of my shell. And life was pretty good back then.
How old were you when you were discovered?
15 going on 16.
15.
Yeah.
So when you said you were shy, what made you decide that, okay, this is it? This is the one that I've been praying for?
Well, I think it's all because of experience. So little by little. So in That's Entertainment, it was a teenage variety show where we had to sing and dance and act. And I became popular as a quasi-comedian. And I say that very in a very joking manner too, but it was because I couldn't speak Tagalog. All I knew back then was lalaki, babae, pera. That's all I knew, right? The most important
The
words,
most
right?
important ones, yes.
So when towards the end of the show, we would be given a script and we were challenged to do an acting piece. So we had to memorize famous lines from a movie or a scene from a movie, and we had to reenact it. And they always left me for the finale because I would always mess up like terribly. Like, first of all, I don't know how to act. Secondly, I don't know how to speak Tagalog. And so people thought it was so funny. And the worse the mistake, the funnier it was. And I thought, I could make a living out of this. I'm okay with that. I don't mind making a fool of myself. So, yeah. And then I got my first film, which was a comedy. Katabi ko'y mamaw. And I was the mamaw. So I was like the lead of the film. And then my second movie was with Gabby Concepcion, his first action film. Sargento Gabo, and then I went on to doing more serious films. My third was Anak ng Dagat, which is loosely translated as Son of a Beach.
Parang medyo no? Pag translate, no?
Son of a Beach, Beacech. Okay, but and so I did a lot of comedy, and then eventually I ended up doing my next big break, which was Over the Bakod. And
With Jano Gibbs,
yes,
right?
yes. So Over the Bakod was a sitcom. It was like a comedy or on the disparity between the rich and the poor. And I was from the rich family, and my name was Barbie Doll De Niro.
Yes, yeah, I remember that.
So yeah, people loved it, and to this very day, people still call me Barbie Doll every now and then.
Because you have this beautiful face. That's why I'm one of them that would always copy your style. Because I remember after That's Entertainment, you also became a VJ.
Yes, that was my
MTV
biggest.
Asia.
That was my biggest break.
Yes, and you can dance, you can act. Because I always copy your dance step too. I remember those. I've been watching you. So from that MTV Asia being a VJ, that was also a biggest break for you because that's international.
Yeah. Well, yes. I wanted to say that from That's Entertainment, learning how to sing and act and dance and do all of that. I mean, looking back, I just see God's faithfulness along the way because when you're in the middle of doing these things, you're like, okay, why am I doing this? This is so ridiculous. Why do I have to model? Why do I have to? And these are not my strengths. But, when MTV came along, I just really saw how God orchestrated my entire life to culminate to that point. And now I'm speaking English. Now I'm singing and dancing and acting and being silly and no more inhibitions. And I took off. I just had fun every day. I had 13 shows. I was hosting not every day, but like every taping day, and traveling back and forth between Manila and Singapore every week and other countries. So yeah, I was literally flying high.
I know
in every area.
They're popular at that time. But of course, syempre, sa ganda mong ganyan, ang dami ring actor na nakakagusto sa'yo. Meron ka bang...
Wala naman akong nakikita.
Ang daming na-link sa'yo. But sino ba yung talagang first love mo nung
na
yan?
I've been linked to many actors in the Philippines, but I've only been in one relationship with one actor, and that was General Electric.
General Electric. I remember him. He's so pogi. Crush ko din yun.
Yeah, he was.
He's like, yeah.
It was a very interesting relationship. Syempre, he was my first real love, and my parents were against it, and so it made the relationship all the more intense because it was me and him against the world.
Yes, I remember those.
But at the end of the day, my parents, hindi sila sang-ayon sa kanya, and I, being a Christian, I wanted at the end of the day to be in a relationship that would honor my parents
and values them.
Yeah. And so against every fiber of my being, I gave up the relationship because I wanted to honor God.
So if there's one song, that relationship, anong song or title yon?
Ayoko nang malaman pa na mayroon ka ng iba. Hayaan.
Akala ko against all odds.
No, bulag sa katotohanan.
Alam mo, kasi bata ka pa talaga noon.
Mm.
And then after that, ang dami ring big break na dumating sa'yo after.
Yeah.
There's a lot. So what have you learned throughout the years being in the showbiz? What are the work ethics or, mindset that have you learned throughout the
Wow,
years?
that's I've never been asked that question before. Interesting. I've always believed that in everything that I do, there's a purpose. And the purpose is I know this sounds very religious, but to glorify God.
Yes.
And so sometimes when I get asked to do the Wendy Lindo show, and I mean, like we'd never met before,
Yes.
I always say, Lord, what is your purpose in this? And he always reveals it to me. He always shows me, it could be something as simple as to just gain a new friend. Sometimes it's because God he wants to open other doors and different opportunities. Sometimes he just wants me to encourage you or for you to encourage me, I always believe that there's purpose in every single project. So whenever I step onto the set, I'm grateful, I'm thankful, I'm happy. I mean, my son, one day, he said to me, Mom, why are you so fake? And I was taken aback. I said, what do you mean by fake? And he says, sometimes when you're very sad and distraught, and then some fan comes up to you and wants to take a picture, and then all of a sudden you're happy. And I said to him, oh, son, interesting observation, but you don't understand. Regardless of what I'm feeling at the moment, I may be up, I may be down, but there's always constant peace in my heart. And I always have an attitude of gratitude. Even if I'm grumpy or I've had a bad day, I've always cultivated that attitude of gratitude in my heart that I should always be grateful for all circumstances. And so whenever I have work, for whatever reason that may be, I'm grateful. And so my work ethic is to, as much as possible, always be early, be a blessing to others, and just give my all in everything I do. So that's my work ethic.
I love that because not only, of course, Gina, I would like to say thank you to Gina who connected us, and of course our friend Roy, but you were so busy.
Yeah,
and I'm also grateful for all these people because they were able to introduce me to you, and I know you've been hearing. And
I've been hearing your name many times. I'm like, okay, Lord, I think you really want me to do this.
Yes, and then those people, and then the question is, D, what made you transition? Like I know you moved here. What year was that? Is it only during COVID?
Well, I moved back to the U.S. I actually quit my job, my career, gave up my career for my husband at the time, and we moved to Vegas. So I lived there for 3 years, and that's when I pursued culinary.
Yeah. Was that 2011?
2013, 14.
Oh, 13 and 14. So when you started culinary, was your plan or vision to have or open up a restaurant? Is that what you wanted?
I didn't really know what was going to happen. All I knew was it's my passion. I've always wanted to go to culinary school. My love language is serving other people, and especially through food. I love watching people eat and people like appreciating my food, and it just makes me so happy and ecstatic. And I've always been like that since I was a kid. So even as a kid, my love language was to cook for the family.
So there's one thing that I read that you were inspired by Ratatouille.
Yes.
That's actually my favorite animated movie.
When I saw
that was 2007, and you said you started culinary 2013.
It took
Were
a
you
while.
like Ratatouille, always looking on the book, and then there's like you got inspired because you also wanted to, like you said, serve through food or
Yes.
like sharing those knowledge. Is that what you wanted also?
Well, there's a scene in Ratatouille where he's explaining to his brother what umami is. And it's a visual presentation, like syempre cartoon yun and everything. And he talks about the combinations of food. Like, for example, grapes and cheese and wine, and how when it goes together, it's like a symphony of different, and then it shows like a very colorful presentation there. So somehow, even as a little kid, I've always been like that. I've just been fascinated with food and combinations of things and trying eccentric, but like not gross stuff. I don't eat like innards. Kasi pag may atay-patay.
Pag
That's
may
my saying.
atay-patay, okay.
But yeah, when I saw that, I said one day I'm going to go to culinary school. And many years later, when I was at a crossroads in my career, I felt like I was kind of hitting a wall. I wasn't getting projects. I said, what further studies can I do to better myself, find something I'm passionate about, and to also, have a fallback plan if ever. And so Anthony Pangilinan and Maricel Pangilinan took me through a little just quiz, CENTS, CENTS. And you're supposed to like evaluate your strengths and skills and passions. And really my strengths are cleaning, organizing, cooking, serving. So I'm like, it's probably culinary. And I prayed about it. At that time, I didn't really have savings anymore because we depleted our savings. And I prayed and I said, God, do you want me to go to culinary school? And then I went to a culinary school. I was invited by one of my best friends. And the school offered a scholarship. So I didn't pay for it.
Wow. But you said you completed your culinary school 2014.
Yeah, 2013. And then
2013. Why just recently that you kind of like open your new restaurant right now?
Oh, no. I don't own the restaurant. I work for Island Pacific Supermarkets.
Is it a partnership?
No, I'm a full-time employee. I'm on salary. So, I work for the company full-time, and it's good. I'm their R&D chef.
Oh, okay.
So I'm a corporate chef.
You're a corporate chef. And I also watch a video with Rifa Makintos and LJ Moreno. You're also on research. You're developing research development.
Yeah, so I develop
products,
all the new recipes that are coming out. I work hand in hand with a food scientist.
Oh, okay.
And she's my boss, so I report to her for everything. It's really just the two of us on the team. But what we're doing is pretty exciting. I mean, she's a microbiologist. So when we talk, she doesn't really cook well. I mean, she's not really a chef, but she's a microbiologist. And so when we talk, we come from two different fields that when combined together, it gets very exciting. And I learn a lot about her, about carbon chains and chemical reactions and stuff like that. And in the past, my dream was to really pursue molecular gastronomy.
Oh, wow. Ang hirap namang spelling. Molecular.
Yeah. So,
what was parang a specialty nyo with, is it Oink? Is that the
Chirp
name?
and Oink
Chirp and
Oink is the first restaurant that we launched. It was, Island Pacific, Santa Clarita is the only branch of the 17 branches that has 5 test kitchens. And so their goal is to develop each of these pop-ups or test kitchens, not really pop-ups because they're real kitchens, but they're small. And so once they have a solid fan base and a solid menu and it's earning profit regularly, then we branch out to the other 16 branches.
I see.
So we launched Chirp and Oink first, and then next is Halo Halo. And then I don't know what's going to happen next, but I also do other things. Like sometimes they'll say, Miss D, we need you to, can you send us a new recipe for buko pandan? So I'll make it and taste it and ask everyone, what do you guys think? And if they approve it, then I send the formula or the recipe.
Wow. So that's why when I always talk to Roy or Gina, he always tells me you're very busy. How is your day look like your week because of what you're doing?
Well, because I'm a full-time employee. I have to work Wednesday to Sunday, 9 hours a day. So it's, at my age, it's a bit backbreaking, and I don't know how long I'm going to last, just because it's physically exhausting to be on your feet all day long. But yeah, I have 2 days off, and on those 2 days off, I'm usually doing other stuff. Of course, I need some side income too.
Of course.
So, yeah. So
Does that mean that you're also leaving behind show business, or like you're still open to get some projects?
If I were to be completely honest, I would love to pursue acting because cooking is a passion of mine, but I don't necessarily know if I can sustain this for many more years to come. Especially when you're, on your feet, you have to do 9 hours a day, carrying heavy pots and pans. You're in it's a hot kitchen. I work in the hot kitchen department. I'm not in the cold kitchen so eventually we'll see. I mean, I always ask God, like, do you really want me to do this? Because at the end of the day, it's what he wants, not what I want. But if you ask me what my deepest desire is, it would still be to do acting. And I think, like, because of all of my experiences in the past, I think I'm a good actress now, especially after iniwan ako ng asawa ko. Napakagaling kong umiyak ngayon. Sayang naman nun.
You want to go back to that year?
Next episode, charot.
Hindi, kasi you know what, Dee? You're not the only one that on that situation. And I know there's also a lot of women that's going to be watching our episode. What advice can you give them? One, especially yung mga husband nila, diba? They left them for someone. I don't know if that's the case, but what advice can you give all these women na, alam mo yun, they have kids, and then the only one that's making money is the husband, and then iniwan sila, anong ibibigay mo? Like, how they can gain back their strength and power?
Well, speaking to all of those in that situation right now, bagong lahat, kumuha muna kayo ng tissue. Handa na ba? Okay. So when I was going through the peak of my separation, I remember God telling me, run back to your first love. And for me, I was taken aback because before meeting my husband, I was very focused on my walk with God. So, syempre, in showbiz, you're in relationship after relationship. You always have a love life. And I moved to Singapore, and I said that before moving to Singapore, I had a personal encounter with God that changed my life. I grew up with religion my whole life, and I've always believed that I've loved God with all my heart. Pero pasaway din ako, so may mga pinagdaanan and rebelliousness and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I knew I loved God. And so something happened, and then I completely surrendered my life to God. When I was 22. And then MTV happened after that, after growing in my walk. And I realized that's how God orchestrated everything. Like, he didn't give me MTV, because I auditioned for MTV and I didn't get the job until almost 6 to 8 months later, which took so long. And I kept asking God, why? Why is it taking so long? It was really because God was preparing my heart. And so during that 6 to 8 months, I was really growing in my faith, and I built a strong foundation where I wasn't going to compromise anymore. So by the time I moved to Singapore, I sold everything, and I said, God, from this point on, no more compromise in my walk with you. And so when I moved to Singapore, I don't know how I did it, but at the peak of my career, I went to Bible school for 2 years. And I was just so in love with God. And my pastor said to me, Donita, I want you to make God your first love. And I'm like, excuse me, I'm here almost every day of the week. How can you challenge me to make God my first love when it's almost obvious that he is my first love already? And he said, well, parang i-push mo pa yan. Parang more pa. And then he said, the reason being that when you are fully committed in your relationship with God, when it's just God alone that sustains you and brings you joy, and where you find your happiness and your peace and everything, when you're centered on that, then you will be ready to meet somebody. And so for 2.5 years, I stayed single, totally focused on God. And then he came into the picture. And so when he came into the picture, I fell in love, but then I was like, no, if it's not God, I resist this, But eventually I kept praying and asking for signs. And then God, I felt like God was giving me the go signal. So eventually we got married, and then I thought that was, this was forever. I didn't believe in divorce. My parents got divorced when I was 21, and my parents were anti-divorce. So that shook me, and I thought, I'm never, I'm going to make sure that who I marry is the one for life. Yeah. And so 12 years of marriage, and then, no matter how hard I tried, it didn't work out. I have my own set of shortcomings as well, which I have apologized for. But it just didn't work out. And I felt like a failure after that. Let's not talk about the depression part and the cries that I had every day. We don't have to go into the hurts, but I just heard God say somewhere in there, like, run back to your first love. And so I focused. It brought me back to my walk with God at 22, where I really pursued God passionately. And that's where I found healing. Funny thing is, God gave me a project, Let the Love Begin. It was supposed to be a sitcom, not a sitcom, like kind of a sitcom, soap opera. How'd you call it? A soap with a little comedy, romance. And it turned into heavy drama. And so I played the antagonist, opposite Ay de las Alas, so who's a comedian. And when I was playing this role, like, I had to go very deep into this evil villain character, and it wasn't who I was. I'm always about be kind to other people. Even if you think something evil, it's a sin. In my eyes, it's a sin, diba? Parang, so sobrang careful ako, and then all of a sudden I have to play this evil person. But God gave me an acting coach who was a Christian, and I started asking her this: is it a sin to revisit these memories? And no, of course not. It will even actually help you bring healing. So ginamit ko talaga siya. So of course, in acting, we have sometimes these exercises, because doctors have tools, right? For actors, it's exercises. And so one of them is inner monologues. So I would have these inner monologues, like, this is what I would have wanted to say to you if you were in front of me right now. And then I would feel the emotions and go through it all, and then do the acting scene. And I'm just like, wow, that's a different me. And then at the end of it, parang, ay, nailabas ko na. Diba, na-vent ko na. So I didn't expect that was going to happen to me, but I was so proud of that soap. And then I did another one, which was That's My Amboy, with Barbie Forteza and John Arcelia and a bunch of others. And that one was lighter. And so I learned naman light drama. Yung hindi na nakakunot yung face when you cry. Like, not, next it was just like relaxed face pero tears. So it's like, wow, gosh, I'm actually going through these seasons, and you're giving me projects that is allowing me to go through healing and making money at the same time. So
you get both.
Yeah. So anyway, the point of all that is, if you're going through a season of brokenness, whether you're still in a relationship or not in a relationship, focus your relationship on the one who will love you unconditionally. And so when you focus on that, he pours his love out, so that you can overflow again.
Yes.
Because sometimes when we've been brokenhearted, it's hard for us to love again. Kasi binigay na natin lahat eh. We poured out all the love that we have. So now we think we have nothing left to give, but that's the opposite. If you run to God, he will pour out his love upon you, and you'll be able to heal and love again.
That's true.
So hinihintay ko yung love again.
Meron ba?
Wala pa eh.
Wala pa ba?
Wala pa eh. Ilang taon na rin.
Ilang taon? But you're not, God will, deliver it in your front door.
But you know what? I'm happy.
Yeah.
I think, like, masasabi ko talaga that I did run back to my first love, and I'm happy where I'm at. I'm not looking. Pero pinagpipray ko na. I would pray, okay, Lord, I'm not looking, pero hanapan mo ako ah. So that's where I'm at.
And then, Donita, I know you go through a lot of challenges in life, like what you said. And you said to go back to your first love, which is God. And,
hindi si GE ah.
Hindi si GE. Meron ng asawa yun si GE. I think he's happy. And then, how important is it, yung support system, when you're going through on the situation?
I think that family is important in terms of going through the healing process, but I don't know if this would be sacrilegious to say, but sometimes you have to also be careful with who you surround yourself with when you're going through a healing process.
Yes.
Make sure that you surround yourself with like-minded people. I wouldn't say, no, okay. I don't want to say like-minded people. I would say spiritually sound people who can guide you through the healing process, because they will tell you what you need to hear.
Yes.
Because if you hang out with people that you want to, the things that kunyari, I want to hear that I'm beautiful. I want to hear that oh yeah, we sympathize with you, he's evil, then I'm not going to grow from that experience.
yes.
I just want sympathy. I'm not, what I sought when I was going through depression wasn't sympathy. I was seeking healing.
Yes.
And part of the healing process is having people tell you, Dee, you need to forgive.
yes.
You need to release forgiveness upon your ex. And, oops, wrong spirit yun. You shouldn't be saying that. You know, you need to ask the Lord to forgive you of that, those thoughts. Parang, ang hirap naman you know, parang I
Yes.
want sympathy, you know, that's at the back of your mind.
Yeah.
But then I just knew it was good for me. So, yeah.
How long did it take you to forgive and to forget?
We will never forget.
You will never forget.
You know, when you say forgive and forget, that's
two
actually
different things.
Yeah, I think forgetting happens over a long period of time, but it doesn't necessarily mean you will forget. Kasi paano kung, for example, hypothetically, na-rape ka or na-rape ako, will I ever forget that? If you forget it, it means that sobrang traumatic yung experience
yes.
mo for you to not remember that you got raped, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
we will always remember that it happened, or if somebody wronged you, if it's something very traumatic, you will remember that. But you will also gain wisdom from that. You will make sure that it doesn't happen again. That's what wisdom dictates, right? That you make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
So there. But yeah, my depression went on for, I'd probably say, about 3.5 years. where I was
3.5 years.
crying almost every day and having, you know, forgiving one day, declaring forgiveness, confessing forgiveness, and then something happens again and I'm like, nakakainis naman yung hayop na yan, diba? So
it's a process talaga. It took a long time for
and
you.
I think it's a lifelong process, really, because, you know, something will happen again and again and again. I mean, it depends on who we're talking about. Like, this is an ex-husband. I mean, he's not my sister or brother where we will have this relationship for life, but we're somehow connected still because of our son, and my son lives with him now.
Who gives you strength? Where do you get your strength?
Well, obviously,
Yes, you said.
the Lord is my
And
strength
your son.
and my portion forever, huh?
And
And
your
my son,
son,
yeah.
of
Oh, my son
course.
pala ako. Hindi, joke.
How old
Yeah.
is he?
He's 17 now.
Wow. Same age as my twin daughters.
You have twin daughters?
Yes.
We should be
17 lang. Sige. So, 17. So, what is your relationship with your son?
If there's one thing that I've done right, it's my son. And I don't just mean that because it's a motherly thing to say. I'll give you an example. A couple of days ago, sometimes when I'm very, very tired for my lunch break, I'll go into my car, put the back seats down, and sleep for 20 to 30 minutes so that I can finish the rest of the day strong. And right when I was about to sleep, my phone rang and my son calls me. He calls me almost every day. And he's like, Mom, where are you? You look like you're being kidnapped right now. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in the back of the car. I'm about to take a nap. He's like, okay. And he says, Mom, today's Thanksgiving. And I just want you to know that I'm so thankful that you're my mom. You raised me as a single mother. And I know that you've been through a lot of struggles. You tried to, you know, you worked so hard to try to put money on the table, food on the table by earning. And there were times na I knew that you didn't have money anymore, but you didn't show it. And then I would be a spoiled little brat and I'd ask for this or that and you would get it anyway. And he was like, you know, I just love you so much, Mom. And but you know, you also have a lot to be thankful for. You raised a good son. I said, I'm a straight A student. I'm obedient. So I'm like laughing to myself, just listening to my son talk. And I'm just like, you know I've done something right. We talk about everything. I mean, everything.
He's open to it.
Yeah, he'll tell me everything. And what has been taught to me by one of my best friends is when they say something that goes against what you believe or your morals or whatever, don't react right away. Just listen. So sometimes when he tells me something, I'm like, God, please give me wisdom on how to answer this, right? I just don't react. And I just say, thank you for sharing that with me, son. Well, this is my take on this. So you have to understand that from youth, from when they're infants, we have the tightest grip,
Yes.
right? Because they don't know any better. But as they get older, you have to loosen the grip until you let go. And so my relationship with my son at this stage in his life is I'm a coach. I'm not mommy who's a dictator. No, you cannot touch that. No, you cannot put your finger in that. It has to be,
There's trust.
yeah. Son, I thank you for sharing, being so honest with me. Well, this is what the Bible says about this, and this is how I would do it. At the end of the day, everything is beneficial. No, everything is permissible, but not beneficial. It means that at this point in time, you can do whatever you want. You're 17 already, and you could easily hide things from me.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that it's beneficial for you.
When he said he's so grateful to have you as a mom, maybe he saw you because you said you're a single mom, raising him when you and your ex had a divorce. Was he staying with you throughout the years after?
Yeah, he lived with me. And then when we moved here during the pandemic, we lived with my brother and his family for 6 months until I got this job. When I finally was making the move to come to LA, he said, Mom, I think I want to try living with Dad. I need my dad in my life at this stage of my life. And I was brokenhearted at first, and I felt like I was going through a second divorce, right?
Because it's like losing both.
Yeah. I mean, I have only one kid, and, now he wants to go live with the man who's stealing him away from me, right? But after I got my first paycheck, I was like, ooh, oh, I'm okay with this. Yeah, that's kind of a joke, but, part of it's true too, because I've been giving to my family my whole life, and they all know that. And then, of course, marriage, I was the one, taking care. So now this is about me.
That's true.
And sometimes focusing on me is not a bad thing.
It's not. Well, look at your career right now, right? But ito yung question ko, Donita. After all those, heartaches, being brokenhearted, are you still open to, be loved and loved?
Yeah, heck yeah.
Single po si Donita.
So my telephone number is charot. Yeah, but
Okay,
but at the same
yes.
time, I am also prepared that God may never give me someone. I'm okay with it. I'm really okay with it. I would still pray for it. I would say, okay, God, in due time, I pray that you would give me
Yes,
someone who could also love me and take care of me. And
Yes.
but if it doesn't happen, okay na rin ako.
Okay
Because
ka
I know
na
that
rin.
by His grace, He will sustain every need that I have.
That's
So,
true. And then earlier, when you were doing your makeup, you said something about you wanted to start, like evangelical.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not.
Is that
It's
is
not.
that in the future?
Not on paper, but I am I think it's pretty obvious I'm an evangelist, right? Because when I was 22 and I had that encounter with God, it changed my life forever. And I feel like that encounter with God at 22 was the best thing that ever happened to me. There is what we call salvation, meaning you believe that Jesus died and rose again, and that we through Him we can be saved of our sins and go to heaven, right? So that part I've known my whole life, and I've always been grateful for that. But when I surrendered my life to Him completely, it wasn't religion anymore. It was a lifestyle of just His tangible presence in my life, and it was the best thing that's ever happened to me. So if it's like nanalo ako sa loto.
Yeah.
I won $100 billion. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of right now. But so if in my lifetime I will never truly be able to spend all that money, then what would make me happy next is to give it away.
Yes, of
right?
course. Yeah.
So that's what I feel. I feel like I hit the spiritual lottery, and I have to like share it with everyone. Oh my God, you have to hear this. This is so good for you. So some people will receive it, some people won't. But it's not my job to, and I hate the word convert.
Yeah.
It's not my job to convert people.
Yeah.
My job is to just share my testimony of God's goodness in my life, and hopefully it will inspire others. And so it's funny because over the years, back in 30 years ago, there were not many pastors that were female. Now we call them evangelists. Now there are some pretty good ones out there. Today I just heard one, Priscilla. Oh my gosh, I forgot her last name. She forgot her last name, but wow. And you know what? I'm not going to be apologetic for what I believe in, especially in America, where everybody's like says, don't talk politics, don't talk religion. Sorry, but if it's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me, I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's not because I need to earn brownie points or I want to look good on camera. I'm very amendable to being transparent about my life. So I'm okay with that. I don't have any inhibitions or things that I'm trying to hide from people. But if it's the greatest thing that's happened to me, I'm going to share it.
Yes.
And so people started tagging me as like the traveling evangelist at the time when I used to travel a lot. So I've been to countries where you're not allowed to preach, and I've shared with people.
You did?
I've done some I've done some crazy things in the past. And I've just seen God's favor everywhere I go. And it's been a wonderful journey. This is the best part of my life. And I feel that God is allowing me to use things like this as a platform.
Instrument, yes.
Yeah. To be an instrument, to use this as a platform to share about God's goodness.
Yes.
That's my ultimate goal. And I'm not going to hide that. I used to be a little less vocal about it, only because I didn't want to be deemed religious. And I hate the word religion.
And you don't want to be misinterpreted with the other people.
Yeah. But I'm not a people pleaser, and I really don't care what people think of me. I'm just grateful that despite all my shortcomings, despite, everything, people still love me. And that's not because of me. It's really the grace of God.
Yes, I agree. Because a lot of people always tells me great things about you. And one of it is being humble. What makes you grounded? Because with all the things that, you're a celebrity, I can see a lot of us celebrities that have egos. And you're easy to please, easy to, talk to. And
it's very easy. I am so grounded because I'm so humble.
Yan na po. Mukha po siyang maldita. Ang ganda-ganda niya sa personal. She looks like a Barbie doll. Totoo po yun.
Thank you.
No, you are. And then, being humbled. And what do you do on your free time? Because you only have 2 days off. You said Wednesday to Sunday. So your day off is only Monday and Tuesday. So what does Donita do on their free time?
I feel like we need to work 2 days a week and then have a vacation 5 days a week, right? Our weekends are 5 days. That's what I would like to see happen. But on my days off, kasi sa Pilipinas, we have helpers and people that help us do things. So I really miss that so much. See, ate back in the Philippines, she went to culinary school with me, and she's a professional chef now, and we did everything together. I just miss that so much. Now I have to do everything myself, and I love cleaning and organizing and all that, but sometimes I'm so obsessive. I am obsessive compulsive. I'm not diagnosed, but I know that I am when it comes to cleaning and organizing and all that. And it takes up so much of my day. And then it's actually work. Right? It is work. So I don't really rest. I don't sit in bed and watch TV.
Do you love to read?
I used to, but I just don't have time for that anymore. If I was married to a rich husband and he was the one paying the bills, I would love to read books.
If ever there's one watching right now, I want to take you to one place. What country or island would you like to go to?
Wow, I don't know. I've been to Paris. Paris was nice, but I was young at that time. Okay. So it wasn't like that interesting to me.
Hindi mo na-enjoy pa?
Hindi kasi I brought my sister, Corny. City of Love.
Akala ko si GE.
I brought my sister.
Oh, okay.
My family used to live in Japan. I lived in Singapore for 9 years. I loved it. I love Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a great place to shop when it feels like you always have good deals, and you can, if you want to spend more, you can go to more expensive places. If you want to go super cheap, you can go to the night market.
Yeah.
So I love Hong Kong a lot. I would probably like to go to a beach somewhere like Cayman Islands or like, I don't know.
Jamaica.
Yeah, something
why
like
not,
that. That
right?
would be great.
So, what do you miss about the Philippines now you're here? Is it for good that you're going to be staying here, or you're planning to go
we
back?
don't really know, right? I mean, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, we never really. I didn't. After I quit showbiz the first time to move to Vegas, I didn't know that I was going to end up going back to the Philippines again. So I don't.
There's a possibility.
There's always that
Okay.
possibility. You never know. But for now, my mind is set on staying here for two reasons. Number one, my whole family's here.
Yeah.
When I was in the Philippines, I had no family there. I would always have to come to the U.S. to see them. And then, so now what I miss about the Philippines is that my friends were my family back home, and I miss that. So I'm always torn about where I want to be. But at the same time, being here in LA, I feel like if I wanted to get into acting, it would be so amazing if I could have the opportunity to do that and do culinary 50-50.
50-50.
Yeah, I can't say I
Your
love.
heart is still showbiz sometimes, no?
Yeah, because
It's
it's what
still
I'm.
there,
It's
you-
what I'm best at. I've
were raised-
invested
yeah.
31 years
31?
in.
Akala ko 31 years old ka lang.
And I started showbiz when I was one. Shut up.
1 year old. And then you have a lot of friends in the Philippines. And then what did they tell you now na nandito ka? Are they still very supportive of you?
Absolutely. Everyone is proud of. I mean, when they tell me these things, that, like, there's this one supermodel. Her name is Bessie. I forgot her last name. I just met her recently, and she seemed so sincere when she said, "Donita, I am so proud of you. Parang you're always evolving. Imagine from showbiz now you're full time in culinary. It must take somebody with a lot of determination
Courage.
to switch careers and start from scratch again. And you're starting in a new country again." And I'm like, it made me want to cry. But then at the same time, it's like, oh nga, no, I'm strong. I've never seen myself as strong and determined. I've always seen myself as, parang
Takot, like
Sur-
there's fear?
No, not necessarily fear, but surviving. I'm always just surviving. Yun pala strong ako. Determined.
So the people or your friends around you, they see you like a courageous woman, strong-willed.
And it's
Diba?
and people are inspired pala by
what
this
you're
change and
doing,
everything. And I
yeah.
didn't expect that.
Wow. But before I move forward with my next question, why don't we invite the viewers of the Wendy Lindo show where they can find you? Meron ka bang mga Facebook or Instagram? Maybe
Oh,
you can
okay.
share your story.
Yeah, so on Instagram, it's Dash of Donita. I used to have another account called Real Donita Rose, and it got hacked. So I was so devastated because I had almost like 250,000 followers then. And so now I'm starting over again. It's Dash of Donita. And then on Twitter, it is still Real Donita Rose. And Facebook is Donita Rose.
Donita Rose.
Yeah. And I also had a YouTube channel called Dash of Donita, although it's now defunct. I'm not producing episodes anymore for that. But who knows, maybe down the line I might go back to that again. And what else? So I'm at Chirp and Oink in Santa Clarita. It's Island Pacific, Santa Clarita, and I'm there Wednesday to Sunday.
Nice. So where do you see yourself in the next, maybe let's make it a short period of time, 3 to 5 years. Where do you see yourself?
I don't know. There's so many things I want to do with my life. I just realized, because I had a weekend getaway, right? And so last night I realized I have so many passions in life. I really need to seek God on the next phase, because I'm good at many things. I'm like I'm a jack of all trades. I'm not like, a master of one.
Yeah.
I'm a jack of all trades. So like, I'm always like, I want to do this. Oh my gosh, I want to take a photography, and I want to learn food photography and food styling. And oh my gosh, I want to take up molecular gastronomy. Oh my gosh, I should go to business school so that I could open up my own restaurant. I want to be an evangelist. I mean,
I'm like you, Sagittarian.
oh,
Yeah. We get bored. I'm not really sure because there's a lot of opportunities and we know that we can do everything, right?
Yeah. We get excited by
Like
a
I
lot
get
of things.
excited, yeah. So, what was your favorite verse in the Bible? Maybe you can share that to the
It's
viewers.
in I want to say Second Corinthians, but it's been a while since I've quoted it. It's and we have been given the ministry of reconciliation through Christ Jesus. It's a very deep, deep verse, which just talks about, simply put, is knowing God's plan and purpose for your life and walking it out, and that's what I'm doing right now.
That's good.
So, and ministry of reconciliation is about reconciling the past with the present person, right? You're forgiving yourself, forgiving others, reconciling, bad thoughts, and just everything, and relationships. So it doesn't necessarily mean I will reconcile with my ex-husband. It doesn't mean that. It just means reconciling the hurts and learning how to forgive. And and being able to move on, but with grace.
Wow, that's a very powerful message, Donita.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Miss Donita Rose. I know you've been very busy, very busy. And by the way, Donita Rose drove all the way from Palm Spring to be here in my show, and I appreciate you. Now we're friends now.
Wendy, you consider me your sister.
Sister, oh, by the way, when we saw each other and then we had the same makeup artist, I love you, Gina. We love you, Gina.
Thank you so much.
And then we were like,
what's Gina's? Gina, what's your Instagram? Gina. Makeup by Gina 888. So if you're interested in getting her, she's amazing. She works with international models and
celebrity Hollywood actors, singers,
and she's proudly Pinay.
And she did our makeup. So we thank you, Gina.
And 1, 2, 3, strike a pose.
And she's my long lost sister. I didn't know. My last name is Cabot. I forget about your mom. Regards to your mom. I saw one of your I think it was on YouTube when you visited her on your
my
on her
Instagram.
Birthday.
It was her 74th birthday last month, and she got COVID and she almost died. And so this is her second life, and I'm so grateful that I have more time with her, especially because I was abroad and overseas all these years. I've never really spent time with my mom, so now is the time to really make up for lost time.
That's good. And anything else that you wanted to say before we
Well,
end the show?
I'm on the cover of a magazine. It's called what's it called? Mesa and Bar.
I saw that magazine.
Yeah, Mesa and Bar. So it's the October issue. It's still you can go to my Instagram and just click on the link, and you can get a digital or a hard copy.
That's great. Thank you again, Miss Donita.
Thank you. Thank
Love
you so much.
you, and
Love
thank
you
you
too.
again.
And you have a new friend in me who's always going to be
Yes.
here for you anytime you need her.
And I'll send you your lobsters.
Oh, yeah, bring it, baby.
I'll give it to you. Again, thank you for watching the Wendy Lindo Show. And for sure, I'll see you again very soon.